to play it on.
Ready?
Appreciate it.
And just leave a washer in that area and shoot through it.
We got rid of the dog problem for now, so.
Yeah, the dog is gonna catch.
Yeah. So that's what it is. Did she tell you what the name of the dog was? High Point. I said they should name her Mario.
I heard there were some other counties too.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it.
Yeah, they snack it.
It was just this dog.
Yeah.
I didn't feed him anything, so I tried
Right.
to lure him in, yeah.
Yeah.
He'd just lay over there and watch me, we couldn't get close to him.
Oh, it was
I felt for him, yeah. Good, yeah, that size,
Yeah.
he was everywhere.
That's
Town,
really to attack somebody's dog.
I don't know about that,
Well,
that's the story
the
too.
dog got
We
it.
use that.
We don't know.
That was the dog that did it.
Yeah, we don't.
He went to fire home.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, he's
Good. We got,
You should.
you know how it is when you get somebody who got it.
He said, she said, that's it.
I'm free here to be anywhere I come.
I'm not.
This dog was definitely.
But it's not that.
It's not there.
Probably, they need to be short.
Yeah.
Not too much.
I like when Daniel about to wrap up and I said, I got one more thing.
Can I say something one more?
Yeah, he's gonna hold me to that one day. So I said, just one, now you said one thing.
I think we're now be disappointed.
Yeah, rules of order, you're out of order.
One of my tennis guys, big in FFA, he went and competed in the parliamentary system
Yeah.
competition.
Oh, yeah.
He was asking me a bunch of questions.
He knows all about it.
Yeah. Right through it.
I thought we had some kind of burning topic.
Exactly.
And then I heard all the off field always say, I said, must not be the crowd. The meeting must have.
Right.
No, he's doing brick horses.
Good luck.
Brick horses.
We just sit there.
Right under the bus.
That's when they were doing the quick.
Okay.
You should make the show.
That's right. That's right. All right, we'll call the May 2025 Town of Golden Springs Council meeting to order. We will have our Pledge of Allegiance led by student body president Sydney Thomas from Crest High School. Student government president Paul McIlerney was going to join us, but his brother has been injured and he had to take him soccer injury, so I had to take him to the baseball injury. Paul and Sydney have developed a good working relationship, joining the two Crest High School and Gardner Webb together. They put on an event just this past weekend to encourage elementary school kids who are about to take their EOG. Sydney is attending Furman after she graduates here in just a couple weeks. She's going to attend Furman, where maybe she thinks she's going to study chemistry, although due to the inspiration of one Zach Parker, I think she's starting to think about being a town or a city manager. So the clock is ticking.
You just learned what not to do.
That's gotta be what it was.
That's right. It's
Very Sydney.
forgive me for being dramatic, but my AP government exam was today for my kids, and so we're going to pledge allegiance to the Republic. And with fine leaders like Paul and Sydney and our student leaders that we have, many graduating in just a couple of days from Gardner Webb, our Republic's in good hands. So join Sydney as we pledge allegiance to our flag.
Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I have a few tokens for Madam President, although she's probably got a few at the house as well.
probably don't have
Council,
any
can
pictures
y'all,
together.
well, we wanna get, but.
Get a good picture of that.
Council, would you please join us?
We're coming.
We'll have to Photoshop Paul in. They can do that now.
Ron, step over
Yeah.
that way a
It's
little
like
bit, there
Christmas.
you go. Thank you, 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Sid.
Before we move on with the adoption of the agenda, we would like to recognize Officer Houston Lattimore. Officer Lattimore was 9 years with Shelby PD. He was in the served in the U.S. Marines for 5 years and actually did 5 deployments. So we're glad you're on the force. Welcome, Officer Lattimore. You go to work. We actually moved it to the front because he is on shift tonight. All right, next item up for business is adoption of the agenda. Are there any questions or concerns about the agenda? If not, is there a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
All right, we have a motion. I believe that was
Wood.
Councilman Wood and second Councilman Green. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. All right, the agenda is adopted as written. Mr. Evans, Gardner Webb.
Sydney left before I could convince her to change her mind and get that transfer application out. Working backwards since the last meeting, it's been quite the whirlwind. I know I'm leaving stuff off, so if I missed something that you knew about, shout it out. But we hosted Double Dog Day right after our last meeting. Tremendous success for us. It's always a nail biter leading up to that, but that campaign raised $2.8 million, and so we're ecstatic and happy about that. Shortly after that, we had Webstock, as you guys know, and I just want to give a shout out to the town and to the staff and everybody. We appreciate that partnership, and a lot of people work very hard, especially on that day. So thank you guys for all the hard work that you do to help make that successful. Some personnel updates. I'm still interim president, haven't been fired yet. The Director of Alumni and Parent Relations, Shannon Hovis, has recently been appointed to that position or selected for that position. She started a couple weeks ago. I may have given this update in the last meeting, but Terry Williams is our new women's basketball coach, if you haven't seen that news. She's already hit the ground running. She signed 3 recruits before she could even sign any of her assistant coaches, so we're excited there. Additionally, we will have a new interim director of athletics. Many of you know Chuck Birch. He's dusting off the cleats, the gloves, whatever you want to say, and coming back to help serve in an interim capacity for us. While we're in the sports realm, men's tennis did win the conference championship, went on to face Wake Forest, and our women's team was actually the runner-up in the conference as well. So proud of them. And then upcoming event for you, Memorial Day service on May 23rd. GW alum and U.S. Navy Commander John Sutton will be speaking. And then one of our best moments of the whole year, commencement is scheduled for this Thursday at 6:30. So either come join us or stay out of town because the traffic's bound to bog down just a little bit. But appreciate you guys. Thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you, sir. I haven't been here to say it on the record, but personally and professionally, Mr. Evans, we really appreciate what you're doing and excited about your leadership. Thank you. Ms. Durham? The TDA.
TDA, thank you very much. I appreciate you letting me be here tonight and wear my Tourism Development Authority hat. I love talking about the TDA. We are in the process of establishing our work plan, and we'll be starting that tomorrow at our meeting, and it'll probably continue into the next meeting as well. We're looking at new brochures and how we can best market the town and all its components. We are excited to have toured the Chateau de la Cour and enjoyed very much meeting with Shannon and all she had to offer, and loving seeing the things she's bringing to Boiling Springs. she's starting to become very active, and we're looking forward to working with her. On a separate note, we agreed to send Renee Welch, your lovely town employee, to her second year of Southeast Tourism Marketing College. We are excited about that, and all she will learn, she will also be picking up a festivals and events class, and will be able to graduate next year with her 3-year completion. And the TDA is committed to sending her for as long as she wants to go to get that certificate. We will also be sending me to my first alumni year, as I acquired my certificate last year. And we will be meeting in Atlanta, as well as 2 virtual meetings this year on development of product for destinations, which is what Rolling Springs is going to be. So I am happy to answer any questions, but that's what we've got going on.
Questions from council?
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to speak about an item not on the agenda? All right. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I move the consent agenda be adopted.
Councilman Green with the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Ellis. Further discussion on it? All in favor say aye. Opposed likewise. Consent agenda is adopted. Moving on to regular business, curbside recycling and collection services for the public. Mr. Manager?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, that's, I thought it was me, I'm clicking stuff off. We're bound by these computers now, y'all. So, it is time again for us to renew our contract with Republic Services. And so, this proposed contract was last renewed in 2017. This is another 3-year renewal, followed by a 3-year extension. And so the term for it is 6 years total. Just like the existing agreement, we can cancel with 60 days notice. The price is gonna be approximately $100,000, and then that will rise annually by the quote, average water, sewer, and trash index CPI from December of the preceding year, close quote, which is what they currently do. I included that in the contract so that you all could see exactly what that looks like. It's on page 44. And so every year we get a letter. That letter begins on page 43, and it just says, hello. Per the agreement, utilizing the December 2024 CPI U.S. average water sewer trash index effective 7/1/25, the rate will increase by 5.2%. And then it gives us Shannon Parks this information, and they show us that 12-month percentage change using that CPI figure.
Questions or comments from council?
Are we the only municipality still doing recycling
That is-
in the county?
That's my understanding, yes, sir. The only other one was Waco, but my understanding is Waco is also, or has canceled their service as well. I did confirm with Ms. Parks, and she came to speak with the Rotary Club as well, but our recycling is real recycling. It's not the kind of recycling where it all goes to the landfill, so it is actual recycling. And so I think that's a great community benefit. And I think it's something that we've all talked about, at various lengths.
Other comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor, there's an error in the staff report.
Okay.
I'll
just read that.
Yes, we had originally included it in the consent agenda,
Okay.
but I remember late last week, we pulled it out just in case there were questions about the contract.
So we need a motion to adopt the
Yes, sir.
contract. Is there a motion to adopt the contract with Republic for 3 years plus 3, essentially?
Yes, sir. And if we want to cancel, 60 days notice.
Does that begin in the first 3 years as well? Like the cancellation
Yes,
can
sir.
happen at any time?
Yes, sir.
Further questions or comments about the recycling contract? If not, is there a motion to adopt?
Make a motion that we adopt.
Okay, Councilman Thomas with the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Litton. Further questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed likewise? That carries unanimously. All right, Mr. Parker, you can talk to us about the cash flow loan.
Alright, so, what you've got here is a somewhat lengthy document, from the North Carolina State Treasurer's Office. And so, you all may remember back, in December, the General Assembly approved a tranche of cash flow loans to local government units. There is a complicated formula that you go through to determine how much money you are eligible for. And that formula spat out that we are eligible for $149,624.73. This is to support our ongoing Hurricane Helene recovery efforts. There are no interest or administrative charges for these loans. These funds will be used to maintain liquidity in the general fund following several front-loaded expenditures on Helene recovery. And I can now speak to you outside of what was previously thought to be a rumor because it was said on the Senate floor yesterday. But the North Carolina General Assembly is considering waiving these cash flow loans and just forgiving them. One of the senators from down east said that yesterday on the Senate floor. And so several of our municipal and local government unit neighbors who originally were not going to take these out have all opted in now to taking these out, as there's growing speculation that the General Assembly will waive those fees. What we plan to do, and you can see there on that staff report, we would owe $1 on the first anniversary of the loan date, which would be May the 6th, well, roughly May the 6th of 26. We would pay our $1 next year, and then 10% the following year, then 20, then 30, then $40, 40% less $1 of the loan amount it paid either on the 5th anniversary or by June 30th of 2030. The loan does not require LGC approval, and so we would not need to go before the Local Government Commission to accept or apply for this loan. And all of the documents there, these are non-negotiable documents that you've got here in front of you. They've come directly from the State Treasurer's Office. And so they've prepared one big template for every unit to use.
Questions or comments from council?
So the staff feels real comfortable with this situation.
Yes, sir, and actually, I'm gonna put Ron on the spot, so I'm not gonna look at it. But Ron and I were actually just having a conversation earlier today. We're gonna get really in the weeds for just a second. But the state wants us to budget our FEMA expenses outside the general fund in a special revenue fund. Typically, when we do that, there's some revenue in that fund. There is not revenue in that fund, and that's what Ron and I were talking about today is we're having expenses, and we know that we're gonna pull them from the general fund, the water sewer fund, wherever they need to come from. But there is no actual hard revenue in there, and this would be something that I anticipate we would put in there, and Rhonda says yes. And so that's an example of something that we would use it for cash flow, so that we can use this to meet some of those ongoing expenses like the Wall Avenue sewer replacement. Or, some of those other costs that we have incurred, related to FEMA. And I don't have a number on our total FEMA expense as of yet, but we will have it for you next month, and our estimate.
So it's not project specific, it deals with hurricane recovery.
Yes.
What we have expended out.
Yes, sir.
So it wouldn't be money available for a new project.
Right, yes. And then someone did ask that, and the state treasurer, Brad Brenner, said they were not coming to police it. But we were on a Helene recovery call, and somebody said, well, what if I wanna use, theirs was $7 million.
Yeah.
Said, what if I wanna use it for something else? And he said, well, don't tell us.
I look back at Rhonda and see what her response is. She's hiding, and I would hope that we would use the money for what know we have some problems with our culverts,
We
culvert
do.
replacement, and those kind of
Yes.
things that was highlighted in several reports. And, that's gonna need attention at some point, so.
And where we have taken money from, what would have been in the operating budget, we've taken that money and used it for hurricane things, now we can just repay ourselves. Rhonda hates when I say all money's fungible, but all money's fungible. She likes that better than when I use words like legally money launder, which is not what this is. Wash it up.
Kind of sit around his face.
Yes, yeah, I don't look at her when I make this one.
I tell them all the time, creativity is frowned upon in my profession.
Other questions or comments? What's the pleasure of council regarding the cash flow loan?
Move they said.
Motion from Councilman Green to accept the loan. Is there a second? Second from Councilman Thomas. Further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye. Opposed likewise? That carries unanimously. Mayor Max Hendrick always asks what the council's pleasure was in case you have to throw that in once in a while. All right, Mr. Parker, the DEQ emergency bridge loan.
Well, I have lost my paperclip, that doesn't matter. All right, so this one's a little bit different. Same subject matter, except different fund. And so more complicated and more money. So this one is very similar, except I'm under, we have been given no reason to believe that this loan would be forgiven. And so this is up to $3 million for water sewer projects. The repayment schedule for this loan is similar to the other one with the 0% interest, no administrative fees, but we only make one, we're mandated to make one payment of the full loan amount, and that has to be repaid in full by June 30 of 2030. And so they will not ask us to make a payment on this loan until June of 2030. Now, that's not saying we could not make a payment on the loan. In all likelihood, we may not, so that we could keep the money in the reserve and make the interest payments, and just pay them all back at once. But you see here, we've identified 3 key projects that qualify for grant funding. And then, so that would be the McBrayer Homestead Water Line Loop, which is estimated at $700,000. We had already planned on doing that with the Water Sewer Fund Reserve, which is currently at $1.4 million. And so we had already planned at installing that loop. So instead of taking that $700,000 from the reserve, we thought it prudent to just take out this loan in that amount and amortize it over 5 years at 0% interest rather than taking it from the reserve. The East-West Homestead Avenue Waterline Loop, which is estimated at $400,000, that's in our capital improvement plan, and it was something that we've wanted to do now for several years. And then the Spring Forest Lift Station generator is something that was also in that capital improvement plan. And we've looked at doing that. So rather than postponing all of these things, we thought we would front load them, so to speak, take out the loan for $1.32 million, and make these purchases now. And then as we budget and go through the traditional budget process, we will make those payments to the reserve, knowing that we need to make one $1.32 million payment back to NCDEQ in June of 2030. Also, it's important to mention, we added into this loan, replacing the town hall generator estimated at $110,000 and the water pump booster station. It's not a replacement of the booster pump station. There is currently not a generator there. We are chasing FEMA for generator funding using hazard mitigation. And so FEMA may cover the lift station at Spring Forest, the town hall generator, and the water pump booster station generator, but that generator out back and the booster pump were not in the CIP. So that's why that number at the top says we've identified 3 priorities. They were all in the CIP. But we feel confident that FEMA money is gonna come through on that, water pump booster station generator, because when the power's out down there, we have to have someone manually drive back and forth between the booster station and the water tower, and he has to sit out in the parking lot at CVS and watch the buoy. And so then when it gets low enough, he goes out there and cuts the valve on and comes back, and then watches it go up. And then when it gets too high, he goes back and turns it off. So it needs a generator. So that's what
The motion would just submit you to be able to submit an application.
yes, sir. And so we can submit this as early as tomorrow.
And that was one of my questions back during the lead was, did we have a generator strong enough to take care of our needs here? Because we had a command post here and the police department had to function and those kind of things. So I think it's important that be added and included in all those things.
We do, the generator that we have out back, is a little old, a little more seasoned. And it also had, and I can't speak intelligently about it, Mike can, but it's something, I don't speak electrical, but to do with the amperage or the wattage, shorted out the hot water heater on the police side during the transition between using traditional power and the generator. And so we had to have the hot water heater replaced over there. It was covered by insurance and FEMA, but had to have it replaced. So making sure that we have a generator capable of doing that. We also want to get a generator that's natural gas, so that we're not having to fill up the generator there with diesel. The natural gas access is 10 feet from the generator. And so having just a pipe there for natural gas, that way it's a steady flow and we never have to refill it. So that we can function optimally as an emergency operations center if needed.
How could this negatively impact our other projects that we have going as far as what we were trying to apply for the, maintenance yard? And all,
Yes.
I mean, does it hurt us in our debt service in the long run? And, what's the long game look like on that?
Yes, so this would not require LGC approval. And so there would not be all of those structural and procedural safeguards that we typically would have to go through to secure a loan like this. I think, in terms of the overall debt service, in a couple of minutes, we're gonna talk about how the water sewer fund currently has a debt service of about 3%. The industry standard is about 15. And so there's definitely overhead in that fund to carry additional debt service. And, you know, we can, if we had to pay out of pocket for this now, we could do that with what's in the reserve. And that was as of this past audit, so, June of this past year, we had a little over 1.4 million. So we could pay this out now and still would have a lot of money in the reserve, but we would still be fine on the, you know, our daily intake.
Other questions or comments?
I'm just looking at you, Rhonda, to make sure I didn't say anything that you, or that I didn't leave anything out. If I did, let me know.
I didn't hear anything creative come out.
But generally, we don't want to be debt-free, right? I mean, how can we improve it? I mean, unless we tax people real heavily, we have a bunch of the money from taxation, so then we have to take out loans to be able to stretch the money farther, is my thoughts. And
The cost of a generator today and the cost of a generator in 5 years are going to be radically different. The current CIP, and I've used this example before, but the South Main Street water line that we're looking to replace, the current CIP that we have from 2022 says it was gonna be $250,000. It's going to be closer to 600. And so taking out, in my personal life, Zach Parker citizen doesn't want lots of debt. But in my government life, we need debt because we need the asset, which is gonna be there for 30 years. We need to stretch the payment over that amount of time so that all the users of that asset actually are bearing the cost of it. And so it makes more sense for us to do that. It's significantly more difficult to do a pay-as-we-go model.
the challenge in the long run will be the future budgets to put aside that money to be able to make that payment.
Yes, sir. It will, and we can go on and start working toward, we'll start working towards that now.
But this is just an online application to get it started. And
Yes, sir.
if it falls through, then we can work on that.
Yes, sir. And so the difference in this type of loan and a USDA loan or any other type of loan that we may go after is that in the other loans, the LGC would actually pull open the books and start immediately implementing
Yeah.
ways structurally to make sure that we can pay the debt service. They're not going to do that with this because it's exempt from LGC approval.
Is there a timetable when that has this particular thing done, process done?
There is not. It is, though, there's a fixed amount of money. I believe it was 55 million. And I don't think it, I can't remember the number. The numbers doesn't matter. But it was a number divisible by 3, so it could be 55 million. But once it's gone, we'll have to wait for the General Assembly to allocate additional funds to the program.
Other questions, comments? If not, is there a motion to proceed?
I make a motion to proceed with the grant process.
Okay, Councilman Thomas, motion to proceed with the application.
Emergency bridge loan.
Yes. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Wood. Further discussion or comment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? That carries unanimously. Mr. Parker?
Have we done this before where it's been 6:59?
Hey, jinxed it.
Don't.
Well, I don't want, now, I don't,
Just yet.
we don't want to spoil folks. So, a couple things, shocker. We do need to meet next week, so we have that, that committee session tabled, as a standing, the regular meeting for council subcommittees. We will need to meet next week as a full committee, which is permissible. If you all are available, Misha Taylor, and the Godwell College of Business wants to, come and sit with us, and they've got some fun-tivities, to kick off our strategic planning process. And I can't remember the small group of folks that she is gonna bring, but they're very excited, to start that. We're gonna begin it now, and then, it's really gonna kick off in the fall, but she's going to go in and sow some of those seeds now.
So that'd be May 13th?
Yes, sir. And that's at 5:30 is when we've scheduled those committee meetings. So May 13th at 5:30, and I can send you all an additional note with that.
In council chambers.
Yes, sir. I believe there are 3 of them. But they're very excited. We're excited to, well, I'm speaking for you guys now. I'm excited. And we're gonna be their model going forward, she said, so high expectations.
Well, I think anytime we conclude Garden Web together, it's a plus, so.
I forgot Nate was sitting there. I forgot. South Main Street update, we held a utility coordination meeting with, more utilities than I believed existed. Things are humming along, they come out of the woodwork, but, things are humming along well. We've got the 60% plans, submitted to North Carolina DOT. They are evaluating the monopole, mast arm pole to be located at the CVS corner of the intersection. That will also include the addition of pedestrian signal heads, and those, they're just the 9-foot roughly poles on there with the push buttons. Nobody ever cares about the water line, so I buried the lead, but beautiful water line, blue, nice and pretty, going right under the sidewalk there. And so we're excited about that. Nothing else to report on South Main Street update. Cars on College, remember, is May 17th from 10 to 4. we've had such a great, Tracy gave me a good, the front parking lot will be, I know this isn't, I'm showing it, but I'm not sure that you can see it, but the front parking lot will be full. And so we have, Tracy, what, 57 cars? Yes, 57 cars, 2 food vendors, and then Darren Deese is coming to provide the entertainment. And so what we're going to do is shift things to the front here and to let the building be open so folks can use these restroom facilities so that people can park up the hill rather than trying to elongate it and take up all the parking. There were some concerns about where folks would park. And so we're gonna have it out front here. We've had a really good, I think, a lot of interest in cars. Several people have sent their regrets that they wanted to bring their car but could not due to prior commitments. So we're excited about that. The food vendors are Rolling Grub and Smash Burger. If you have any questions about that, please send them to Tracy. I just do what I'm told. We talked about Houston. We are 3 weeks out on Creekside and the initial Wall Avenue sewer line replacement. Mike went out subdivision and do that repaving. I have not spoken to him since then, and I think we're probably still 3 weeks out. Mike says yes. So 3 weeks out, and we'll do a public engagement campaign around Creekside and also Wall Avenue before that takes place. You may have heard, but cell phone companies are ending a certain type of text message service that I don't understand or know about. But long story short, there's 3 different types of text messages you can get. One of them is going away. I don't know enough about it, but it's naturally the kind that we use for Code Red. And so to use the other ones, it's gonna be about $2,000 a year more, because why not? So we'll have to look at some of those adjustments that we'll need to make. We're also gonna look at Code Red and see if it still does exactly what we need it to do, and because there are other companies that will provide a similar service, though maybe not a text message, or some won't do a phone call, but will do a text and an email, and so we're gonna have to look at that and kind of see. Are there preferences on that? I mean, I'm sure all text, phone, and email is probably the preference, but if we had to drop one of those, does anybody have a preference on which one we should drop and or which 2 to keep?
I'll drop email.
Yeah, drop the email.
I thought text probably was the one to keep. But yes, I thought it was one of those, like the little green bubble versus the blue bubble, but it's not that. That was too easy, so. Budget update, hot off the press, I was trying to do this. Was my goal for today. So when I originally gave you the budget calendar, it said on May the 6th, I was gonna give you the budget message. And so, maybe wrong, just kidding. You can pass those down.
Nobody laughing, is it?
I know,
I mean, it's good.
I am not going to read this to you. It's 10 pages, and I tried my best. I really did, to not type 10 pages, but I couldn't help it. I'm not known for my brevity. But I do have to read to you a small excerpt. As outlined by the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act and more broadly North Carolina General Statute 159, the following proposed annual budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026 of the town of Boiling Springs is hereby submitted for your consideration. This year's budget outlines the proposed financial obligations of the town of Boiling Springs for the upcoming fiscal year. The budget continues to fully fund all town services, including those in both the general and water sewer funds. This year's proposed budget differs from previous budgets for a few reasons. 1, the town has fully expended its ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act, aka COVID money funds. The town has established a capital project fund for South Main Street improvements, and the town has created a special revenue fund to manage FEMA expenses due to the impact of Hurricane Helene. To that end, it's important to remember that funding for ongoing South Main Street improvements and FEMA-related projects are excluded from the proposed budget as they are located within separate funds. And then in keeping with the town's year-to-year ethos, the goal of respectful growth remains the vision for our town. This budget takes several bold, innovative, and critical steps in achieving this vision. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I'm going to, as a high level, spent some time there on the bottom half of the first page and the second page going through what revenue neutral was, how that number is derived. Talked about the considerations that we make. I am statutorily required to disclose, though the statute doesn't tell me where to do it, that the town's revenue neutral property tax rate is 29 cents per $100 valuation, as calculated by the Cleveland County Tax Administrator's Office. Provided council and the general public with a list of a few of our ongoing projects that we've got there on page 3. Page 4 goes through the general fund revenues. Those are projected to have a 2% decrease over the coming fiscal year, with a proposed ad valorem tax levy of 27 cents per $100 valuation. Every penny that we collect now is worth roughly $47,000. And then it gives you that comparison. So we anticipate with the 99% collection rate that we will collect $1.26 million compared to last year, where we collected $1.3 million in property taxes. Something else to notice is on the pie chart there, our property tax percentage of our estimated revenues is smaller in this coming fiscal year than it has been in years past. General fund expenses similarly are also projected to decrease by 2%. The next page there has expenses broken out by department, so that you all can look at those. And again, I don't want to get bogged down too far in it, but water sewer fund, as we've discussed, the importance of taking out additional debt service in that fund, making sure that we're on strong financial footing, and that we're arming the fund against potential large-scale capital improvements that it needs. And it says in here the industry average enterprise fund debt service is between 15 and 25%. Our current water fund debt service is approximately 3%. As the need for capital replacement expansion increases, as discussed above, we will likely need to issue additional debt to undertake meaningful improvements on this front. It proposes a 10% across the board increase, which equates to $2.07 in the base availability rate for inside customers. That passes along a 5% increase in the governmental water rate for the city of Shelby, while also following through on the promise to maintain a system worthy of our citizens. And personnel, and then conclusions. And there's only one other part I have to read you, which is in accordance with North Carolina General Statutes 159-11-12-13, I respectfully submit to you the proposed budget for the town of Boiling Springs fiscal year 2025-2026. Simultaneously, I have informed Ms. Tracy Holland, town clerk, to undergo the process of scheduling a public hearing for 6:30 at the June 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Boiling Springs Town Council. Town staff will also undertake the preparation of the official budget ordinance, which will be accompanied by a staff report and requisite budget graphics. You'll get a copy of this emailed to you later this evening. The last page is the proposed appropriations to the general and the water sewer funds. And so this is what they will look like on the budget ordinance. I know traditionally we look at them by line item, and you'll still get that sheet. But when we actually budget those, I wanted to make sure you all saw this, because this is what will appear in the budget ordinance, because we budget by department and by, in those, you have to budget in those big buckets. So I wanted to make sure that you all saw this today before you get a copy of that actual budget ordinance. And I am happy to answer any questions. Other than that, I conclude my remarks, Mr. Arnold.
So I have a question.
Absolutely.
I don't think you skimmed over this purposely, but just to go back to the fire tax levy,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know the page number it's on, it's about midway. And it says, this contract will remain in place until a new fire tax district is established by Cleveland County that encompasses. So is this where our fire tax over here is gonna go to the county?
Yes, sir. So, this was the part of the budget we were waiting for. And so the reason for us wanting to do that was that the 8.75 cent fire tax is levied by the county commissioners. And so we cannot complete any of our appropriations and draft our budget until we knew what that rate would be. I do not know what the rate will be for the county fire tax. What I do know is the county is, to quote the line that you read there, generating a new fire tax district, so that it satisfies that portion of the contract. The contract has that in there, as you know, this contract will be in effect until a new fire district tax is established, which to me indicates that we should have, from the outset, tried to establish a new fire tax district. And so we've succeeded in that. That district will take effect July 1st of 2025. So on the property tax bill, what our citizens will see is Town of Boiling Springs, ad valorem property tax, however it's stylized, and that number, fire tax, and whatever that number is. And then they'll have, you know, consolidated school district tax, which currently is 14 cents, and I'm missing one.
County.
Oh, yeah, the county tax rate, which, whatever it is, the big one. And so it will have 4 lines on there, where traditionally ours have only had 3. And so I think it'll break it out so that folks know exactly where those taxes are going. We were the only municipality in the county, we're the only municipality I can find, but we were the only municipality in the county that had this type of arrangement. And what it did was, as you all are aware, when we look at our fund balance as a percentage of expenditures, these were expenses of about $300,000 that was growing the bottom number of the fraction, so that we were spending this money as a pass-through and paying the county a 2% collection fee on top of it. Rather than doing it this way, where they just take that same valuation and write the fire department a check directly.
Thank you, Councilman Wood, for bringing that up. Other questions or comments on the budget message?
I was off my comment, outstanding job. I mean, I can't say enough, we went through the budget sessions and stuff, Ron, as usual, and Zach, our leadership, and there. Budget's come out, we've had to work at it, but it's come out as smooth as I can remember all the years I've been on the board. And it's because all the preparation and stuff that you got to us and answered our questions, so I would appreciate that.
Councilman Wood?
I don't have any comment, thank you.
Councilman Thomas?
Yeah, I had a bunch of people talk to me about this College Avenue paving and not being able to see the lines and the fog lines and all these other things. And I told them that really that's sort of out of our control. We have to Lyman Street, and that's about all we have control over. And so I hope the asphalt and paving looks great, but I mean, can we talk to the DOT and see what the timeline is? Because it's really dangerous at nighttime. The road's not well lit, and you can't see that center line. So I know that was a huge concern from several people. And I said, hey, I don't control all the way to South Wattier Street, so I can't fix any of that outside our town limits. But who's the contractor that's doing it? Is it?
Asphalt paving with Shelby.
So I know they were not gonna stripe it until they had the entire project completed.
Yes, sir. They were not going to paint the current lines until we asked. And so we'll ask again.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a huge safety issue.
Yeah.
So anyway, and again, thank yous for the hard work and for the commitment from Gardner-Webb University and staff, and just do a wonderful job. And thank you to the board. I think Ron Wood mentioned this a couple weeks ago. He said that's the smoothest, you know, he was glad to see the budget really worked out easily this year. And that's because we all had hard work and we held our own opinions and our minds, but it really is an honor to work with you guys. So that's all.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Green?
A couple things. One, that Miss Christina Edwards that said she was gonna try to make the meeting tonight. She brought up, a concern last night. Connie and I went down and actually worked in the concession stand last night at the Little League game. And she had noticed, and I actually noticed myself, that, there's a lot of smoking around kids and things like that. She wanted to know if there was any way that we could make that area non-smoking. She actually said she was gonna try to get it tonight, so she could present it, but, and I actually noticed it myself, 2 or 3 gentlemen and a lady, either smoking or vaping. I told her, I don't know about the park, but the ball field, I don't see why it wouldn't be in there.
You can,
That would-
yes, sir.
So we could designate the park tobacco-free if we wanted to.
Yes, sir. Any property that the town owns, you can designate as tobacco-free. We will need to prepare an ordinance, and we can do that, we can prepare an ordinance for the June meeting, and I will check and see if there's anything on the administrative side that we can do before then. I'll work on that.
What process is that, signs and stuff like that, letting people know?
Yes, and we'll just,
They probably would just have to announce whoever's calling the game,
Yeah.
just to remind people that it is smoke-free. I told her, I'm very much in favor of it
Yeah.
myself, and like I said, after she mentioned that, that's kind of looked around, and I did see 2 or 3 gentlemen and a lady, that were smoking or vaping. Which, like I said, the kids are used to it at school and everywhere else, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't take a stand on that. So I would be very much in favor of an ordinance.
Would we be required to provide a space for people to smoke? I mean, would that be a legal question?
I wouldn't think so, no schools.
so, thank you, Councilman Thomas, for reminding me. Attorney Schweppe sends his regards. He is, he is, flying tomorrow morning at like 2 a.m. to Calgary to get a car to take to his son Daniel in Anchorage, Alaska. So he is, otherwise occupied. A quick Google search, has pulled up the North Carolina General Statute where, the state law prohibits smoking in designated public places, including parks, city-owned parks and recreational facilities by local policies. Policy typically means that I can do it, or it would say ordinance, but I will read this and, let you all know. And we'll get to work on that.
I would be in favor of banning it in the park, but I think it might be good to give folks someplace to go
Right?
and provide a canister or whatever,
We-
something.
I know that.
I'm in favor of not giving them anything.
We, so, at the town hall, we are required, as a workplace, we do have to allow a smoking area.
Yeah, that's where I was sort of.
Yes, that's so the town hall, in terms of, we have,
School, they don't have to do that at school.
they walk across the street, off the property.
Yeah.
I'm not sure,
Well, my fear too is the enforcement, I mean, so, I think, the Little League could help us with that by doing that general announcement and by trying to give them the authority and the power, and then to give an outlet for people who do smoke, I think, sort of has a good balance, but that's just not.
we'll have Jonathan Gant sit out there and remind people to walk across to the Gardner website.
They can walk over there.
They don't allow it over there.
They got a smoke free.
It costs a mark-side as well.
Yeah.
I do think, like I said, if you have to provide us, I don't smoke, never smoke, but I do think it's not a good example for that to be around the children, stuff like that.
Are smoking and vaping, we're treating it the same way?
I would.
Okay, doesn't matter to me.
Just sidebar, I watched the thing there about vaping the other night, boy, it's not a good thing,
Well, the thing about vaping is you might not be vaping nicotine, there's other things that you can be vaping, so you could just say no vacant, period.
Okay, so you'll work on that, and I just told Ms. Silver, she wasn't able to come, I would bring it up. The other thing is, Kevin, I also went over and listened to the listening session with Gardner Webb had for the presidential search. Well attended, very, very well attended, a lot of good comments there. But, I understand on the website, there's gonna be a place where you can go in and enter comments about what type of person you wanna look for. And actually, if you have somebody you would like to suggest, hint, that there'd be a place there. But I do think it's, the college is the first time, I think maybe the ones I'm aware of, that they had this type of involvement, where anybody can come and speak, you know, so, I'll have to say, I went with I told Connie when I got there, I'm not gonna say anything, but I did. But, surprise.
It was a listening
But I
session.
What's that?
It was a listening session.
Right.
They were supposed to be doing listening, we were supposed to be doing talking. No, it went real well, and there's a lot of good comments, but, I do think we do need to express ourselves now, every opportunity we have, because as I said to them, I think it's imperative, or at least very desirable, that the relationship between the college and the town be almost synonymous, that you know, and we all know that that's been strained some. So I do think we need to take every opportunity to be involved in that, and I appreciated the opportunity of being able to do that. But with that, I'd just like to say I do appreciate all the work on the budget. I didn't know from experience how difficult that is and how time consuming, but also like to echo that I think the council we have is very hardworking, very diligent, and very open to other people's opinions. So I also enjoy serving. So that's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Ellis?
I would just like to say, I feel safe in Bull Springs. Chief Phillips, my garbage is picked up, Mike, our zoning, Isaac, budget. We just got the best staff. Tracy and leadership from Zach, as you can tell, organized. He's already gone, he was doing some of our lawyer stuff there. So, we're very fortunate to have him. And I'm just talking on behalf of, as a citizen of Bull Springs. We have I looked over there and the policemen were there, rain and all that stuff. They're very visible. They come by my house. I see them coming by my house. So we're just appreciative of our staff. We're lucky, the citizens of Bowling Springs, to have a staff like we have. And the years of experience, and I just love living in Bowling Springs, and I feel safe. So walking down the streets and so on. So we appreciate you. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Wood?
Not much to say other than to echo some of Councilman Ellis's statements. Just to say that we're blessed to live in this town, and also to second what Councilman Green said, as a council, we may not see eye to eye on everything, but we get along really well, we're respectful of one another, and with the council we have, you can get things accomplished, and I think we do that. That's it.
Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank council. You guys are serious people. You're serious men who are wise and forward-thinking when it comes to the budgeting and being proactive in the town. Our staff, excellent and professional, day in and day out. And just to continue the course, that's what's made this process so smooth. It's a great time of year. 24 years ago, about right now, I graduated from Gardner Webb, and then a month later I got married to my wife, who graduated from Gardner Webb the following year. My daughter graduates in just a couple of weeks, and we'll see how much I've had tennis to distract me from that reality. But you know, my dad would have been 76 on May the 10th, and so I continue to remember him and the pillar that he was in this community for a long time. And most importantly, I think of all, of course, Sunday we'll celebrate our mothers, and our community is strong because of the strong women who serve so many people. We saw that with Helene, so many people just stepping up and serving. It just is it's a great time of year, and I love the relationship between Boiling Springs and Garden Web, I always have. It's who I am. So thank you to everyone. Happy Mother's Day and happy graduation season. Anything else? Sure. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Well, I just want to say.
Did you say 7:30? Yep.
Wow.
We'll do it tomorrow.
That's record time.
We gotta get you in on the
For
betting.
him.
We don't want to have. The over under is typically pretty high.
I'm gonna go 3 hours on that.
That's budget, right?
Two and a half.
Hey, I did go on record mentioning your name.
Thank you, Bill, I appreciate that. I will.
Yes, what is old?